As we saw in the previous video, the first issue that we need to deal with is settlement of accounts. Settlement of accounts is covered under Section 48 of Indian Partnership Act 1932. First, let's look at the provisions of the Act with regard to treatment of losses. Any loss, including deficiency of capital, is paid first out of the profit, then out of capital, and lastly, if necessary, by the partners individually in the ratio in which they share profits. So this means that we need to use the profits first to set off the loss, and then we can utilize the capital balances of the partners. And if we still need to set off the loss, the partners have to contribute individually in the ratio in which they share the profits. Next, let's look at the provisions with respect to applications of assets. Assets of the firm, including the amount contributed by partners to make up deficiencies of capital, should be applied in the following order. First, in paying off the firm's debts to third parties, and then in paying to each partner ratably what is due to him on account of loans and advances. Thirdly, in paying to each partner ratably what is due to him on account of capital. And finally, in case there is a residue, it is to be distributed among the partners in their profit sharing ratio. So, any amount which is realized from sale of assets should first be applied in paying off outside liabilities. Then, the loan which is advanced by the partner to the firm can be paid off. Then the partner's capital balances can be paid off. And after this, if there is any residue, it will be distributed among the partners in their profit sharing ratio. Let's see a few example sums based on this concept. Example sum 1. The firm of X, Y, and Z was dissolved on 1st April 2019. Y demands that his loan of rupees 25,000 be paid before the payment of capitals of the partners. But X and Z demand that capital be paid before the payment of loan by Y. Who is correct and why? Now if we look here, Y has advanced a loan of rupees 25,000 to the firm and wants to be repaid before the partners' capital balances are repaid. So as per the Section 48 settlement of accounts, the loan of the partner should be repaid before repaying capital balances. So Y is correct, and according to Section 48 of the Indian Partnership Act, Y's loan has to be paid before the payment of capitals of the partners. Second example sum. The firm of X, Y, and Z was dissolved on 1st April 2019. Y demands that his loan of rupees 80,000 be paid before the payment of loan of Mrs. X of rupees 20,000. But X, another partner, demands that the loan by Mrs. X should be paid before the repayment of loan to Y. Who is correct and why? Now, X, Y and Z are partners in the firm. Y has advanced a loan of rupees 80,000 and Mrs. X has advanced a loan of rupees 20,000 to the firm. The liability towards Mrs. X is a third party liability. So, outsiders' liabilities has to be settled before the partner's loan can be repaid. So, in this example sum, X is correct. According to Section 48 of the Indian Partnership Act, outside liabilities are to be paid before payment of loan to partner. Hence, Mrs. X's loan should be paid before the payment of loan to partner Y. Third example sum. A and B are partners in a firm sharing profits in the ratio of 3:2. Mrs. A has given a loan of rupees 20,000 to the firm. Now, Mrs. A is an outsider and rupees 20,000 is a third party liability. Continuation, the firm has also taken a loan of rupees 10,000 from B. Now, B's loan is partner's loan. The firm was dissolved and assets realized rupees 25,000. We are asked to state the order of payment of Mrs. A's loan and B's loan with reason if there are no other creditors in the firm. So on selling the assets, we have realized an amount of rupees 25,000. First, Mrs. A's loan, being a third party liability, has to be paid. So rupees 20,000 out of the rupees 25,000 has to be paid off to Mrs. A on account of her loan, and balance 5,000 can be used to repay B's loan. So this is the answer to example sum 3. So in this video, we saw in detail the provisions of the Indian Partnership Act with regard to settlement of accounts. We've dealt with the first issue. In the upcoming video, we will deal with the second issue, which is payment of firm's debts and private debts.